Hey everybody, I'm trying to figure out how to flip my phone here so that y'all can see me better. Bear with me. Did that work? Can somebody let me know? Or am I still sideways? I don't know. Hopefully that worked. If it didn't, someone can chat and let me know that it didn't work. So hi everybody, I'm Angie. Hopefully you are seeing me right side up. And since it's too cold to practice outside tonight, I actually saw some snow flurries tonight. Oh, didn't work? Okay, I'm flipping it back. It used to let me do that, but now it won't, so weird. Okay, once I got my new phone, it doesn't work like that anymore. So I will flip it this way, and we'll just try to get in in everything we can into the shot that we can. So inside, namaste, you guys. I'm glad you could join me. Let's go ahead and get started. So come into a comfortable sitting position. We're actually going to utilize a few props tonight, if I can reach them. We have a couple of blocks that we'll be using and our strap that we will be using. So all of my animals are inside, so you will probably be seeing an appearance from them as well. All right, so let's just start by coming into a comfortable sitting position. Rooting down to the sits bones, extending up through the midline of the body, up through the crown of the head, and just breathing here. Maybe the eyes are closed here, maybe they're open. Either way, let the eyes be soft, let yourself relax through the eyes and the rest of the face, the entire physical body. And so just bringing your awareness to the breath and the rhythm of your breath. Breathing in, the navel moves out slightly. Breathing out, the navel draws inward and slightly upward. And so if the mind starts to wander, you can kind of bring your awareness back to this area of the body, that navel, and the movement, that subtle movement with each breath. And so just taking these next few breaths to get grounded and just sort of shift gears from our day into this practice. And then briefly just check in with yourself mentally, see where the mind is, especially practicing here at night. Maybe you're a little tired. Maybe you're worn out from your day, but you'll feel better when we are done. Hopefully a little more open, more relaxed, so that it's easier for you to get a good night's rest tonight after we're finished. I'll just take a few more breaths here. Maybe setting an intention for this practice if you wanted. And then if the eyes are closed, go ahead and blink them open now. We're going to change the crossing of the legs since we've been sitting this way for a minute. So for most of us, this will be our non-dominant crossing. And then from here, we're going to come into some side bends, and we're going to do that with the breath. And so my right hand's going to just come out to the right side of my body. Inhale, left arm up and over. Exhale. Inhale, back to center, reach both arms up. Exhale, and we'll side bend to this left side. And just flowing with your breath. Inhale back to center, reach up. Exhale, bend to that right side. Keep that left hip grounded. Inhale back to center. Exhale, other side. And just going with a breath. A few more visits to each side. We're not trying to be in the yoga Olympics or anything, just finding some movement, finding some heat and a little bit of space in our bodies. One more time to this left side. And then inhale, back to center, exhale, and float that right arm down. We're gonna go ahead and come on to the hands and the knees. So take your time setting up for that. You wanna have your knees right underneath the hips. And if you need a little cushioning for your knees, you can put a blanket or something underneath for that. The hands, heels of the hands gonna be right underneath your shoulders. So just checking there, making sure the middle finger is facing relatively forward. And from here, I'm just going to press the hips back into Child's Pose Balasana and rest the forehead either on stacked hands, on the ground, resting here. If you needed to take a little bit of extra space between the knees to make room for your chest or your abdomen, you can do that. Or maybe it's just more comfortable. Whatever you need to do. Take 2 more breaths here. And know that you can come into this pose, into Child's Pose at any point if you need to take a little rest. So coming back then on the next inhalation to the hands and the knees. And at this point, if you did take the knees wider, go ahead and position them back underneath your hips again. And we're just going to do one of my favorite sort of pulses, the Chakra Vikasana, our dog tilt, cat tilt. So inhale into your dog tilt. This is our cow pose. You're extending through the spine, reaching up slightly through the sits bones and the crown of the head. Exhale, pull the navel in as you tuck the chin and round to the spine. Keep that going. Inhale, dog tilt. And exhale, cat. And 3 more. Inhale. And exhale, cat. Trying not to rush through these, just taking your time. And then from here, just coming back into a neutral positioning, curl your toes under and start reaching your hips up toward the ceiling. We're going to actually lift the sits bones up, but then press them toward the wall back behind you. It's an important second step to downward dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Nod the head gently, yes. Shake the head gently, no. Let go of any tension there. And then we're going to start to walk the feet up toward the hands. You might have to bend the knees to do this, and that's fine, especially here at the beginning, or if you have lower back issues and you want to have that good bend in the knees. I'll move my arm out of the way so you can see that. Little by little, if your back is okay, though, and you can bring those legs toward extension, then we'll take the stretch deeper into the hamstrings. So just like down dog, nodding the head gently, yes, shaking the head gently, no, draping the upper body over the legs, and then firmly pressing into the hands as you can either walk, or if you don't have any wrist or shoulder issues and you have a strong core, you can try to instead of walking back to plank, you can see about hopping into plank. And so you just bend your knees to hop and then keep the core activated as the feet drop back. Now you might just be walking the feet back, and that's fine too. Big breath in. As the breath flows out, we're just going to lower all the way down to the belly. And we're going to do a few cobra pulses here, our fierce cobra pulses. So this is the one, and hopefully you can see my arms okay. I actually have, my fingers on the ground and my thumbs on the ground, but then the heel of my hands and the palms of my hands are up off of the ground. So in case you can't see it, pretend like the block is the ground, and this is what my hands are doing, kind of making a little teepee, okay? And as you can see, my hands are much, much wider than shoulder width apart, okay? and my legs are just straight back behind me, hip level, hip width rather. And then so I inhale up, reaching out through the chest in front of me, at the same time reaching back through my toes behind me. And even though my elbows are bent up, my shoulders are relaxing down the back body. Inhale, coming back up again. Exhale, lower down. We're going to do that 3 more times with the breath. Keep it going. Inhale up. Exhale, lower down. 1 more time. Inhale up. Exhale. And lower back down. Slide your hands close in by your chest. Inhale, hands and knees or plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. And you can see how I just kind of snuck my feet forward. So I could make this upside down V with my body. 1 more breath here. Exhale, lower the knees. Come into a sitting position. And just so that we're all on the same page, let's have this right leg in front of the left. Okay? All right, so we're going to come into a cool pulsing kind of Kriya. And a lot of you guys have done this with me before. I'm going to turn to the side to show you what it's going to look like though. So the pulse is this. You have your hands on your knees, on your kneecaps, and you want to pretend like you're using your nose to roll a ball out in front of you on the ground. And so this ball could be the size of a golf ball. If you're really flexible, you can get really close to the ground. Or it could be maybe closer to the size of a beach ball if you can't go down quite as far. And it's going to be kind of like a snake undulating movement to press that ball forward. And then we're going to come up and come into a core strengthener, some variation of boat pose or Navasana. So the first part, we have the hands on the kneecaps. We bow the elbows out and we undulate, push that ball forward. And then we come up and we keep that chest lifted. We reach the arms out in front of us, and I have my first 2 fingers together, kind of like Charlie's Angels, but with the thumbs down. And you either just lift the knees, or if you have a little more core strength, you might be able to lift the feet clean off of the ground. Make sure you're not rounding when you do that though, but you're keeping that lift in the chest and the back is extended, okay? So inhale forward, exhale back, either just the knees or the legs extend. All right, we're gonna do that 5 times. My face back toward front as we do that. So hands on the kneecaps, inhale, bowing the elbows out, snaking forward. And then as we exhale, reach the arms out in front of us, just lift the knees or lift the feet and do that crisscross bow, Navasana, boat pose. Boat pose, inhale up, exhale, activate that core. 3 more times. Inhale, undulate forward, exhale, 2 more. So notice it's not a lot of repetition. We're only doing sets of 5, but we're making each one of these pulses, each one of these sets count. 1 more. And then sit up nice and tall here. As we exhale, bring the hands out in front. And either stay up high on the hands, or maybe you can come down to the elbows and forearms. Here's where blocks come in handy, because say you're right here, okay, where your elbows and forearms are not quite on the ground, we could let them rest on blocks instead, okay? So a lot of times, we don't think about the fact that our yoga blocks can not only help us modify a pose and make the pose essentially easier or fit our bodies better, but our yoga props can also help us progress deeper into a pose as well and make it more advanced for us. So walking yourself back upright, coming back to the hands and the knees, just so we take a little bit of a break before we come back to that pulse on the other side with the left leg in front. So back to the hands and the knees here. And we're gonna do a little vinyasa here. And this is one, if you've been in my classes before, you've probably done this with me before. But this is one that I actually learned from Karen Sifton. And it's just a wonderfully heart-opening little mini vinyasa that I love, and I borrow from her quite often. So we start in child's pose. Arms are out in front, hands are, fingers are spread, hands are shoulder width apart. Inhale, hands and knees coming right into that dog tilt, into cow pose. Exhale, cat. Inhale, back to that dog tilt to cow pose. Curl the toes. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Resting here, inhale. Exhale, lower your knees. And again, press back into child's pose. But this time, slide the hands to knee level. And we have two options here, lower back issue folks. You're going to come straight up to standing knees. And then I'll turn to the side. You're going to have your hands, fingers facing down, kind of in the small of the back, the lower part of the back, so that you can press into a beginner camel pose, Ustrasana, back bend. All right. If you're okay in Virasana and hero pose, you're going to use your hands to help yourself roll up. Okay. And then I'm in Virasana, hero pose, and then I roll my shoulders open, inching forward. And at first I come up onto my fingertips, and I might stay right there for my heart opening back bend. Maybe I bring my hands, the heels of my hands down, and make the back bend a little bit bigger, pressing the chest open and broad. Maybe I scoop the tailbone under and lengthen through the quadricep muscles as I get a nice little addition to my back bend, lifting the hips. And then whether you're standing knees or following me, come back into your child's pose. And we're going to repeat that twice more. Okay, so inhale, right onto hands and knees, coming into that dog tilt. Exhale, cat. I'm going out of the frame. Inhale, dog tilt. Curl the toes. Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Inhale, pausing here. Exhale, lower the knees. Pressing back. Balasana. Slide your hands knee level. Either rolling up to standing knees or stay in that Virasana like we did before. I'll do standing knees this time for the beginners. Hands lower back. And then watch my hips, because what happens a lot of times, you come to the back bends and the hips will come back. We want to be cat tilting those hips, pressing those hips forward, rolling the shoulders open, looking up. So even though this is more of a beginner camel pose, Ustrasana, this can be a very big back bend. Inhaling, coming back up. Exhale, back into your child's pose. One more time. Inhale, dog tilt. Exhale, cat. Dog tilt, just long enough to curl the toes. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Inhale, take a big breath, big breather here. And then exhale, lower the knees. Pressing back into child's pose. Inhale, slide the hands back knee level, rolling yourself upright. Coming into whichever version works best for you. Rolling the shoulders open, placing the fingertips or maybe the heels of the hands, or maybe scooping the hips underneath you. Getting that little quadricep opener as well. Take one more breath wherever you are. Exhale. And start to make your way back and front. We're going to come back into a sitting position with the left leg in front now. And we're going to come back to our other pulse. So hands on the knees. We kind of do that snake undulating motion as we press the ball forward out in front of us, that imaginary ball. And then we come into our Navasana, our boat pose, really activating the core. So inhale and scoop forward, exhale, and either just lifting the knees or we lift the legs completely. Inhale forward, exhale back. Keep that chest lifted. I'll turn to the side. Inhale forward, exhale back. And And then 2 more. Forward. Exhale back. 1 more. Forward. And exhale. Coming back upright. Sitting nice and tall. Maybe even bringing your hands back behind you to exaggerate that. And then start walking your hands out in front of you. Coming into that fold, wherever it is. And just notice the difference between taking the fold on this side as compared with the other side. It's always good to make those comparisons. And that way, in your home practice, you know, that you kind of do on your own, the side that you're not as flexible, well, maybe you hang out on that side for a few more breaths longer than you do on the more flexible side, just to try to balance things out as best you can. 1 more breath. And then slowly bringing yourself back up. Right, we're going to come back to the hands and the knees. Curl the toes, downward facing dog. Start walking your feet up toward your hands. Lifting up part way, flatten the back here, and then exhale into your fold. Hanging out in your fold, I'm going to move our camera, or well, my phone, which is my camera. Hopefully we can get everything we need to here. Okay. So bending your knees deeply, taking your time rolling yourself up to standing. Just whenever you're ready, bring your palms together at the heart. Hopefully you guys can see me. I know it's kind of weird in the light. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale and fold forward, hinging from your hips. Inhale up part way, flatten your back here. Exhale and fold, turning to the side. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. So we're going to do just a little core strengthener from our sort of half forward fold. So we inhale, reach the arms out and up. Exhale into your fold. Inhale, come up part way. Flatten your back, pull your navel in, okay? And then you want to have your hands kind of resting gently on the upper shins, right underneath the knees. And then from there, see if you can reach your arms out in front of you, looking out over a cliff. Keep the neck nice and long. We're going to do 5 taps from the right hand to the left foot. So big breath in, exhale, tap, inhale up, exhale, tap, inhale up, exhale 3, inhale up, exhale 4, keep that core braced, inhale up, exhale 5, inhale back up, left hand, right foot 5 times, exhale toe, inhale back up, exhale foot, inhale reach, exhale foot, inhale reach, exhale foot, inhale reach last time, exhale foot, inhale reach, and then coming all the way into your fold, bending the knees, little by little from there, seeing if you can bring the legs toward extension, let the head hang. Inhale, slight bend through the knees, reach the arms out and up. As you come up, exhale, hands are going to rest at the chest. Good. So facing back to front. We're going to take a wider stance with your feet. And you might not be able to tell because of shadow, but my toes are pointing outward, just so that my knees, while they're bent, are bent in the same direction as my toes. That's going to protect my knees. All right, so hands are on the thighs, thumbs in front, fingers in the back. We're going to take this right shoulder down and look out over the left shoulder. Inhale, coming back upright briefly. Exhale, back to that temple squat. Left shoulder reaches down. We look out over the right shoulder. Core is braced here. Inhale, back to center. A little break. Exhale, right shoulder dips. Inhale, back to center. A little break. Exhale, left shoulder dips. One more visit to each side. Inhale, center. Exhale, right shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale, left shoulder. And then from there, turning the toes, facing them forward, coming into your Wide angle forward fold. Breathing here. Let your head hang completely. One more breath. And then slowly bringing yourself back upright, heel toeing the feet in. And while we're upright, we're going to do one standing balance, right? So we'll do one we don't often practice very much. And this is where one of your blocks could definitely come in handy. We're going to practice Garandasana, which is our eagle pose. And so eagle pose, you know, the upper body is doing one thing, the lower body is doing another. And so our upper body, we're just reaching the arms out in front of us, and I'm going to cross my right leg over my left leg first. So since my right leg is going over first, that's going to have my left arm going over. You want it to be the opposite going on up top than lower body. So for some of us, if you can't quite put that elbow into the inside of the lower elbow and then wrap the hands, all right, that's our conventional eagle arms. But if that's not available to you, squeeze your elbows as close in towards one another as you can in the forearms, and then cross that, what do we say, left hand in front of the right, and then press the tops of the hands together like that. That's your beginner Garandasana arms. If you have tightness or an injury through your shoulders, that's what you're going to practice. Now, we're going to have the right leg crossing over the left, just like we do, you know, when we sit down and we cross our legs. So I have my block on my left side because I'm going to bend my knees. My feet are hip width apart. I'm going to shift my weight into this left side and then cross my right leg over the left. And so sometimes it helps to have that block right underneath the foot, resting, you know, the foot on the block. If you don't need that block there, the foot might be able to dangle. If you can hook the foot behind the support leg, that calf, that's your next option. Reach the arms out, take that left arm over the right, and here we are, Garandasana, eagle. Your big breath in. As the breath flows out, see if you can bring your elbows towards your knees like you're an eagle. You're an eagle retreating into its nest. And then from there, see if you can come out of your nest. Good. Moving balance, imitating life. Let's uncross the arms. Let's uncross the legs. Typically, we're not going to fall out in the real world if we're just standing still. It's when we're walking. It's when we are moving, when we have to really work on having that balance. So take your block over to your right side. You may or may not need it. Bend your knees, feet are hip width apart. We're going to keep this right leg, which will be our support leg, bent the whole time. That knee's going to stay bent the whole time. When you're ready, cross that left leg over the right. Maybe rest the left foot on top of the block, or don't. Let it hang, or hook the foot behind that right calf. Reach the arms out in front of you. Right arm over the left this time. And we squeeze those elbows in towards one another. We make this nice broadening stretch to the upper back body, the shoulders. Good. One more breath here. And then release the upper body, uncross the leg, and feet are hip width. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flatten your back. Exhale and fold. We're going to step or hop the feet back into plank and go through one vinyasa. So forward on the toes, either lowering the knees or full chaturanga. Down, upward facing dog rather, or cobra. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Just two more breath there. And down dog as I move the phone again. I come down a little closer to the ground. You can see my kitty cat up there on the couch, Kiki. It's her favorite spot. So then lowering your knees from downward facing dog if you haven't already. And coming into a sitting position. We're actually going to have our block handy because we're going to do a little restorative bridge to work on making space in the lower back, decompressing through that lumbar area. So have this block handy because we're going to need it. And then recline onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest, rocking side to side. Then we're going to place the feet onto the ground. And notice how I'm sliding my heels just as close up toward my glutes as I can bring them. Now my feet are still going to be hip width apart. And as soon as I start to lift my hips, it's going to make my knees want to splay out to the sides. I'm going to keep them here. And as a matter of fact, grab your other block. This is a nice little trick that you can use if you notice your knees splay a bunch. So bring the block in between the feet like this, okay? And then try to bring your heels just as close in toward your glutes as you can. Have your other block handy where you can reach it. Now, squeeze the inner edges of the feet in toward one another, and then without lifting the hips, while squeezing those inner edges of the feet, it's kind of difficult to let the knees splay out to the sides. I mean, they could do it if we, forced it, but as long as we're squeezing those inner ankles in toward one another, the knees want to stay tracking over the ankles, okay? So whether we have that block in between the feet or not, always think about squeezing those inner ankles in towards one another while keeping the feet hip width apart. We're going to do 5 pulses, lifting the hips up on the in-breath, lowering the hips down on the exhalation. And on the 5th time that we lift those hips up, we're going to put this other block underneath the sacrum. And it can either go flat or it can go on its side. If you are very flexible in your back bends, it would go at its tallest option. But for most of us, it's probably going to go on its side. All right, so here we go. Inhale, keep your head to center, looking up at the ceiling. Don't turn your head. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lifting up again. Cat, tilting the hips. Exhale, lower. 3 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. 2 more, lift up. Keep squeezing those inner ankles in towards one another, keeping those knees from splaying. Last time, up. Take that other block, lift. You might lift up onto your toes, balls of the feet, to position that block. Now, if it on its side is too much, you can always have it just flat underneath your sacrum and just hang out here. Now, you can keep both feet on the ground or maybe extend that left leg and see about hands-free, bringing that leg as close toward your torso as you can, and then circle that foot around at the ankle and other direction. Good. Same thing, lowering that leg down, reaching that right leg up, hands free. Bring that leg just as close in towards your torso as you can, and then circling that foot around in one direction and in the other, and then lowering that leg back down. Hold on to the block underneath your sacrum and see if you can lift your feet off of the ground, maybe tucking the knees. If that feels okay, and you can go a step further, lift both legs upright for a restorative shoulder stand. There's Jasper getting in on the camera. This is good for creating space in that lower back. One more breath here. And And slowly lower one leg down with control. And the other one. Lift the hips, take that block out from underneath you. And you can kind of move your blocks over to the side. Again, hugging the knees into the chest. We're going to cross this outer right ankle over the top of the left thigh. Reach this right arm through the legs. Clasp either the hands behind that left thigh or in front of your left shin. And then just hug that left knee in. You should feel this in the right hip moving into the right glutes. One more breath here. And lower that left foot down. You want to keep the right leg where it is though. Reach your arms out by your sides. And as you exhale, take that right foot across the body and rest the foot either on a block or on the ground. Notice my right shoulder is relaxed, making contact with the ground here. Bless you. 2 more breaths. And then slowly coming back to center with the hips. Crossing that outer left ankle over the top of your right thigh. And same thing here, left arm reaches through and either grab behind that right thigh or in front of your right shin. Pull the right knee in. Should be feeling this in that left hip. And release. Right foot to the ground, arms out by your sides, inhale. Exhale, left foot comes across the body to rest on the ground. Or, if you don't want to rest on the ground, you could always put your foot on a block. And use the block that way. Maybe turn your head to your left side. And slowly bringing the head back to center. Bringing the hips back to center. Taking your time coming into a comfortable resting position into Shavasana. We're just going to be there for the last few minutes. I'm going to sit up so that I can talk us through. So just allowing yourself to settle. Use whatever props you need to. You can put blocks, one underneath each thigh. You can have an extra yoga mat rolled up under your knees, or pillows under the knees, whatever works for you, so that you feel like you have the support that you need through your lower back, especially, and through your neck as well. So you might have a pillow under your head to give you that extra bit of comfort. And so just giving yourself the permission to let go in this pose. This is one of the most important poses we practice in yoga. Every time I get on my yoga mat, I practice Shavasana, even if it's just for a minute or two. I feel like it is not only a gift that we give ourselves after we finish a yoga session, or we near the finish of a yoga session, but it's also practice that benefits us, because if you think about it, we're really good at practicing how to rush around and be busy and multitask. But this is the one opportunity that we have to let go of that and to not have to do anything, but instead to just allow ourselves to be. No distractions, with hopefully no judgments. Just your breath and your presence of mind. And as always, once that presence is challenged, once you notice the mind is wandering and we're not being very present anymore, we can always bring our attention back to scanning the physical body, investigating, seeing if there's any places where maybe we're holding on to tension and we don't have to be, and we can let that go. You might count your breath. Whatever it takes. Where we can access this relaxation response when we are in a relatively calm state. More likely we'll be able to access this relaxation response when we're in more of a hyper state, a hyper aroused state of stress or fear or sadness, whatever it might be, whatever intense feeling. So just a few more breaths here. Start to maybe invite some movement back into your body. Now, if you feel like you need a longer Shavasana, then just stay here as long as you need to. You're at home, so you're in charge. This is your practice. But if you're ready to transition back upright, then just take your time doing that. As always, wiggle and stretch a little bit first, and then roll on your side and hang out on your side for a few breaths. And that'll keep you from, when you do come back upright, it'll keep you from getting dizzy. So whether you're still in Shavasana, lying down, or you came back upright and you're sitting with me, check in with yourself one last time. On all the levels, physically, emotionally, rhythm of breath, all those things. Take stock again, compare. And hopefully you feel a little better, a little more relaxed, a little more grounded. Everybody has a nice, cozy, restful evening. And I'll see everybody back here next Monday night, 6:30, on the Neva Lomason Library page. Namaste. Well, thanks so much for coming, you guys. I appreciate it. Y'all stay warm, and we might even have to drip our faucets tonight. It's supposed to be super chilly. All right, stay safe. Take care. Bye.